Good morning and welcome to Inside Texas Politics. Our guest today, the former Solicitor General of Texas, the state's top appeals lawyer, and Republican Senate candidate Ted Cruz. And joining the questioning, Grummer Jeffers, political writer with the Dallas Morning News. And Mr. Cruz, thanks for joining us first time here.
Great to be with you. Thanks for having me.
Well, with Dewhurst in the race, as we know, he's jumping in here in the past week. The conventional wisdom is that it's his to lose. He's been elected statewide 4 times, as you know, claims a conservative record. He's a multimillionaire. He can self-finance the campaign if he wants to. Given these obstacles, why do you think you can turn conventional wisdom on its head?
Well, there's no doubt David can afford to write a huge check. But in my opinion, money's not going to be able to buy this race. This race is going to come down, I think, to one question. Which candidate is best prepared to stand up and lead the fight to stop the Obama agenda, to defend free market principles and defend the Constitution? What I'm running on is a proven conservative record. And the experience we found, we've built an incredible grassroots team all across Texas. And the experience we found is that when voters come to my website, tedcruz.org, when they compare my record to the record of the other candidate, a proven conservative record of fighting for conservative principles, we've seen extraordinary grassroots support and enthusiasm.
What is it about your proven conservative record? I mean, what do you mean by that? And what makes you different from a Dewhurst who served as lieutenant governor and in other capacities? He's held elected office, and so has the other candidates in the race. What makes you different? What do you mean when you say proven conservative? What are your credentials?
Well, Grummer, it's a great question, and it's a, you know, one of the frustrations many voters have is that every candidate in a Republican primary says he or she's conservative. That's the right talking point. And so what I've been urging folks to do is don't listen to any of us. Don't take our word for it. Instead, go and ask every single candidate. What I suggest to grassroots voters is go to the websites of every candidate, go to tedcruz.org, take out a pad of paper and write down what are the 5 most significant things each candidate has accomplished for conservative principles. Not what do we say, what have we done. I spent 5.5 years as the Solicitor General of Texas, the chief lawyer for the state in front of the U.S. Supreme Court. I was appointed by Greg Abbott, who is my dear friend and mentor. And during that time, Texas over and over again led the nation defending conservative principles. We defended the 10 Commandments Monument, went to the U.S. Supreme Court and won 5-4. We defended the Pledge of Allegiance, won unanimously. We defended the Second Amendment, went to the U.S. Supreme Court, won 5-4. And I think most critically, we defended U.S. sovereignty. We stood up to the World Court and the United Nations and fought the President of the United States. I argued the case twice, and we won 6-3.
Well, one of your opponents says being a lawyer is a negative in this race, though. Former Dallas Mayor Tom Leppert, who's also in for the nomination, referred to you and Dewhurst in the past week. Quote, the career politicians, Dewhurst, and lawyers, you, have had their chance and they've failed. It's time to send a real-life job creator to the U.S. Senate. End of quote. So what's your response to that?
Well, the experience we found is that when conservatives, when Republican primary voters compare the records of every candidate in this race, there is a clear difference in terms of who's been standing and fighting for conservative principles. And I'll tell you, I sometimes am asked on the trail, are there too many lawyers in Washington? Right. And I agree with that. I think there are way too many lawyers in Congress. But I'm not running as a lawyer. I'm running as a fighter. What people are looking for is a principled conservative who will stand up, defend free market principles, and take on President Obama.
Congress and the White House are trying to figure out how to compromise on the debt ceiling issue. Where do you stand on raising the debt ceiling?
I stand firmly with Senator Jim DeMint and Senator Mike Lee. In my opinion, I think Congress should raise the debt ceiling only if 3 clear preconditions are met. Number 1, substantial cuts in the current budget. Number 2, enforceable spending caps going forward. And number 3, most importantly, that Congress passes a strong balanced budget amendment to constrain appropriators and Congress from spending our money in perpetuity.
But isn't it nearly impossible that a balanced budget amendment will get through the Senate and survive, and even if it does survive after that? I mean,
3/4 of the states would have to approve.
Exactly.
It has to go to the states. So my precondition would not be that the states ratify it. It would be that Congress pass it and send it to the states. You know why? Because I'm confident if a strong balanced budget amendment went to the states, Virtually every state has a balanced budget amendment in their constitution. I think the people would overwhelmingly ratify it. The members of Congress don't want a balanced budget amendment because they don't want to live within their means. 40 cents of every dollar they spend is borrowed, and they want to keep going to the credit card. And now is a time when people are looking to strong conservatives to stand for something.
Well, let me talk about somebody who's in the Senate already in the last minute or so we have about a parallel, if history is going to repeat itself, and that is in Florida. Senator Marco Rubio has Cuban roots, as you do. He took on a GOP establishment candidate and won. Have you talked to him? Do you see parallels in what you're doing to Florida? Have you talked to Mr. Rubio?
I have. I think Marco Rubio is a fantastic senator. I think his race was the most important race in the country in 2010.
What advice did he give him?
Well, a lot of people have drawn similarities between the Florida Senate race and this race, between David Dewhurst and Charlie Crist on the one hand, and I will tell you, Marco Rubio and I have a striking similarity in personal stories, in that both of our parents fled oppression from Cuba, came here with nothing, came here penniless, and worked towards the American dream. And as a consequence, both of us see what's happening in this country the same way, that when the government takes over the economy, what's lost is opportunity to achieve the American dream.
What quick personal takeaway did you get from any conversation or advice?
What I got was that people are looking for strong conservatives. When Marco Rubio started that race, everyone said Charlie Crist, the money and establishment, couldn't be beaten. Exactly what folks are suggesting about Dewhurst, and I think the same principle is true. People want a real conservative that stands for principles that defends American exceptions.
All right, we're out of time. Thanks very much, Mr. Cruz, for stopping by today. We'll see you in the months ahead, I'm sure. Thanks
Terrific.
very much.
It's great to be with you. Thank you.